how to be resilient in the face of failure. This is a big subject, and as the father of 5 kids, I wanted to get this on the table here today because we are going through a lot of setbacks as, especially my twin boys, they get into life and they're trying to apply to schools, and getting into colleges these days has just become a whole other conversation. I mean, a deep one. It is unbelievably competitive, and I wonder the pressure that is on all of these kids to succeed at just some extraordinary level is going to break a lot of them. So I want to talk about this because it's near and dear to my heart. I thought we ought to share it because it's important. But it's also not just for young people that are just getting into the world. It's for people that might be trying to start a business or do something new or get into a new relationship. Resilience becomes a really big, important topic. And if we don't teach how to become resilient, then I worry that we're all becoming more fragile in the face of any sort of challenge. And as the challenges get smaller and smaller, we get less and less resilient. That's not a good thing for us, all right? So the first point here is that resilience is the ability to bounce back from failures and the negative opinion of others. Now, it was tough trying to come up with an exact topic here because they go hand in hand. When you fail, oh, it's okay. You didn't need to go there anywhere. Or you didn't need to. That's not good advice. That's not helpful. When you have a goal, you have a goal. And I think that the next point here is I want to just say start by being hopeful, because resilience is actually a skill that can be developed and improved over time in the face of those failures and in the face of those negative opinions of others. In fact, I'll make a case that those are good practice, but it is important to be hopeful. I think that's what I see a lot of people are. They get set back and they lose all hope, and they don't even understand how to be resilient at all. They've never practiced it before because the expectations these days are set so high that everything's supposed to come so easily, and when it doesn't, we're crestfallen, we're broken, we fall apart. And that's not good because it's not realistic. And if you're young and you're listening to this, I want you to lean in today and listen really about resilience, okay? Because the next point is, here's what's important. When you fail, start with an honest self-opinion, not somebody else's opinion, not a teacher, a coach, a parent, a spouse, a brother. Your self-opinion, okay? You start with an honest self-opinion of how well prepared you were to take on the challenge you failed at. Now, that might be a tough subject, but I started to share with my son Jack as I look back, and I remember wanting to go to Harvard the worst way. And I really thought I had prepared myself. But as I look back as an older man with a son who's trying to do something similar, you look back and you say, well, wait a minute, was I really fully prepared to compete at that level? Now, I could tell you I was probably 89% of the way there, but there were things that I could have improved upon, particularly at that time, the SATs, they carried a lot of weight, so I could have certainly put a lot more weight on that, and I could have prepared many more years. I would have known the language. Look, today, don't let it be a secret. Don't let it fool you. I don't care what anybody tells you that standardized tests, even though they're not, they're optional at some schools, they still matter. People still, they use things to quantify and judge you because in the face of 100,000 applications per se at some of these schools, how else are they going to do it? So you have to look at these things and say, what are the components? I mean, if you're a hockey player, for example, my other twin, how well prepared were you to make the team? I mean, did you do everything? Did you practice skating? Did you practice shooting? Did you lift weights? I mean, on and on and on it goes. You get the point, right? So start with that self-opinion of your preparedness to take on the challenge that you got set back by or you failed at. It's because that's a great place to start. The next thing is use that failure as an opportunity to get feedback that will serve as your plan for course correction. There's a great book on the shelf behind me here, unless you're listening to the audio only, that talks about self-image management. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics, Mind Steering Systems. I am a huge fan of that body of work. And the reason being is that that's exactly what a guided missile does. When it gets blown off course, it just uses that situation to get feedback of now where is it and how do I course correct and what's my new plan? Because my original plan, I got blown off course a little bit. So you see, that failure is nothing more than a little side swipe. Now I get it. Sometimes it might be too late. You might be listening to this and say, oh, I wish I knew this before. Well, that's okay. So something didn't go your way, but use those past situations, and maybe even if it's still available, that feedback, go get it. For example, if you don't get into a school that you like, then pick up the phone and call admissions and say, just for my own personal edification, I'd like to know why not. Can you give me any feedback? Because I'd like to use it to course correct going into the future. So that's an example of what that feedback is. If you don't make the team, call the coach and say, hey, listen, I get it, but tell me how I could improve. And especially if you have a chance again. I have one of my twins is after some really big internships at some really big name institutions. And we just made a contact at one of them only a couple months back. And he was able to get his resume in front of them. And they just said, no, but come on back next year. And when I saw him, I said, why are you so down? We just found them. And you're a year younger than most kids applying for that position. You have to go get that feedback. You can't sit there licking your wounds with the putty face on. You have to go talk to that person and say, wonderful, really appreciate you even considering me. Could you tell me, was it an age factor and specifically on experience that I could gain between now and a year from now? What would you have me do to be in a better position? You know how grateful people are that anybody would care to ask for feedback? They're grateful most of the time, not all of the time. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but use that failure as an opportunity to get that feedback. Next, once you have the plan and it's solid, okay, so you have this course-corrected plan, and now you're going on a trajectory that you feel could improve your position to win, you have to commit. This is a real key point about resilience. You have to commit to eliminating distractions that will interfere with you. See, resilience is not just getting over the moment of the loss. Resilience is this process. Think of it that way, where now all of a sudden you've got a new plan and you feel good in that heat of that moment. You failed, but you got the course correction and you created a new plan. Now what? Now life happens. Now distractions happen. Now you're on social media. Now your friends are asking you to come out. Now somebody's saying you don't have to go practice. No. That's exactly where resilience breaks down, only to get to the end of the year, per se, and you fail again, and now you start to say really bad things to yourself. Forget about the opinions of others that put you down. Oh, I told you couldn't do that. No, it's more so the self-opinion that turns into a cognitive distortion, all or nothing thinking. I'll never be good at this thing. No, not true.
No, that's not true, Meg. It's not true.
You were far closer than you thought, but you just didn't really go all in to work on the thing. Because when you're doing that, you're always, well, I'll get into the next point here, right? As you're doing that, you'll have the chance to build resilience in moments of your smaller setbacks. So let that sink in for a second, right? So all of a sudden you have a new plan that you have to take this new course, and it's something that you really didn't want to do. And let's say it's an SAT class for all of you that might be younger. I'll use that example. And you have this SAT class after school, and you're saying to yourself, I don't want to do this. I have homework. That's an example. That's a small setback. Build resilience. And the key tip here is to carefully decipher the difference between constructive criticism and the unhelpful negative opinions of others trying to crush your resilience. There are some people that will actually give you feedback, and there's others that will actually put you down in the face of a failure because they don't want you to win. And some of them don't even do it intentionally. It's the weird own paradigm about not wanting to see other people succeed. Key point. All right, let me summarize it this way. The key point is that resilience is a skill that can be developed over time by focusing on hope, honest self-reflection, and seeking constructive feedback to improve. By eliminating distractions and carefully deciphering between constructive criticism and unhelpful negative opinions, you can build resilience and overcome setbacks more and more and more. Remember, failure is an opportunity to learn and grow, so embrace it with a growth mindset and commit to your course correction plan to come out even stronger than you were before.